Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I want to talk about Superman again. And the reason why I want to talk about Superman again is because going back, rewatching the movie now that somebody put it online for everybody to see. Shoot, again, I didn't have to pay for it because I got it for free with that AMC thing after they had messed up my movie to go see Ballerina. They gave me a free ticket and offered the Superman movie. So that was luck for me right there anyway. So because I really wasn't about to go and pay to go see the movie. But anyway, now that I seen it one time and then I seen it another time, now that I sit down and think about it, is that this movie could have worked if it was actual Superboy. And I mean Connor Kent Superboy. And the reason why I say that is because of how emotional this Superman was, that he was Superboy. He acted more like Connor Kent Superboy than he did as Man of Steel's Clark Kent. Now, if we could remove that, if you guys don't know, Superboy Connor Kent is the genetic son of Lex Luthor and Superman. You know what I mean? Um, and I know a lot of people are like, "What do you mean he's the clone?" No, cloning doesn't work like that. I need a lot of people to understand how cloning works. If you take somebody's DNA and you mix it with someone else's DNA, that is not cloning. That is genetically modified. That is their genetic son. No matter what anyone says, Connor Kent is the genetic son of Lex Luthor and Superman Clark Kent. He is not his clone. Clone is 100% cloning the same person, just like Laura Kinney is not the clone of Wolverine. She is the genetic daughter of Wolverine because her DNA is mixed with someone else's DNA. You get what I'm saying? Like, y'all need to understand what cloning is and what cloning isn't. Like, Bizarro is a failed clone of Superman. Yes, he is the clone of Superman. That is how cloning works. But it failed because of the genetic codes of Superman that messed his face, his body up to that's where we got the same thing for Match, which is a clone of Connor Kent but got messed up. And the reason why I'm saying that this could have worked better is because Connor Kent had a comic book run, a solo comic book run, after the death and return of Superman. It was like over 100 issues. So we got to explore and see the changes that Connor Kent went through as Superboy or whatever. Now, if you guys don't know, before Wonder Girl, um, before the Teen Titans, of course he was the founding member of the Young Justice team along with um, Bart Allen, Impulse, Tim Drake, Robin, and then of course his future girlfriend, Wonder Girl, Cassie Sandsmark, right? But he did have a girlfriend prior named I think her name was Tara. Tara Moon was her name. She was a supporting character for Connor Kent and then became his first girlfriend, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And if you just replace the names, Tara Moon for Lois Lane, and if you replace Clark Kent um for Connor Kent, and then if you remove the whole Kryptonian thing or whatever, and more of dealing with the aftermath of like he's in a city doing his own thing, um, away from Superman and Lex Luthor that kind of still haunts him or whatever. And because I mean he had like a good um supporting life for a while. He even moved to Hawaii and gained one of his first arch nemesis, which was King Shark. yes, a lot of you guys don't know that actually King Shark was the arch nemesis of Connor Kent's Superboy, and not um the Flash, not in the Suicide Squad, and definitely not Aquaman. He later evolved over to Aquaman, but it was really Superboy Connor Kent, because Connor Kent went to Hawaii for a long good time. And again, you can even move this entire thing to Hawaii and do more of that kind of thing if you needed to. But I think the movie would have worked better, preferably if it was Connor Kent, because of how comedic a lot of things were happening, and how guardian teenager thing that James Gunn was doing, which is fine. But since that's not Clark Kent Superman, even though I know a few people will swear up and down that's not Superman, but I mean, will swear up and down that's Superman, but it's just like, you bitches don't even read comic books. I'm like, I'm so sick of everybody online with the fake hype and with the fake nonsense of, oh yeah, this is exactly what Superman would do or how he would act. No, he really wouldn't. So that speech that he had at the end against Lex Luthor would have made a lot more sense going coming out of Connor Kent's mouth than it does Superman. You get what I mean? Sorry about that. The reason why I'm saying all of this is because in order for it to work, you would have to remove so much about Superman out of the mind. And some people, like, sometimes you just gotta go in there and like look at it as like a little kid. And I'm just like, but you don't put a movie like this on the big screen and not target just mature audience in general. You know what I'm saying? You can't waste $300 million on a movie that is classified as a live action cartoon show. Like at that point, you might as well just did an animated movie. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you really wanted to go that route, you should have just did an animated movie, which would have probably been more better received than a live action one, if that makes sense. If you're gonna do a live action Superman movie, I expect it to be taken a little bit more gravitas if you think about it. But again, as somebody who read comic books, in order to try to make a little bit more sense of this, why don't we use Superboy? You get what I mean? Connor Kent. It would have made so much sense to have. That way, all of the wacky silliness could work, because it's working with the character that is struggling with the fact that he is half human, half Kryptonian, and his parents are two of these big figure, and how did he deal with it, and he even makes mistakes himself. Plus, you could have did the iconic black t-shirt, blue jeans combo thing too. And instead of having David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan, you just go and get Joshua Orphan. If you guys don't know, Joshua Orphan played Superboy in the Teen Titans, and he played such an innocent, charming Connor Kent. Even though Connor Kent is more of a jokester, and then over time he became a little bit more serious over time, because with maturity and age he got a little bit more serious. But Joshua Orphan, who actually got more muscle mass and looks buffer than David Cornsweet, could have played Superboy in the movie, and that would have been great. Honestly, my wish is to see Joshua Orphan on the big screen as Superboy next to Henry Cavill Superman. Like, when I tell you he looks like he's related to Henry Cavill, that would have been really cool. Um, that's just my personal opinion on that kind of situation. Um, you could have had Man of Steel too, and then towards the end, you can see Lex Luthor, Alexander Luthor, because he's Alexander Luthor instead of Lex Luthor. He will become that Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg was like, after the events of Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, he still got some sample of DNA, and he's been secretly trying to clone Superman or whatever. And then you can lead that to like Bizarro and then he finally took his DNA and Superman DNA and was able to create Connor Kent Superboy, which you could have had Joshua Orphan like in like a tank or something like that, and he can be like, just wait, and then he can be like, even though my plans didn't work, like he can also be like a background figure for Man of Steel 2 or whatever. He was like, at least one thing for sure, my Superboy is created. Bam, and that could have led into Superman, Man of Steel 3. You know what I mean? You could have easily did some like cool little changes or whatever. That's something that I was thinking about or whatever. Um, like I said, that for me, this movie would have been better if it was Connor Kent Superboy, because it just would have made more sense personality wise, and it would have, you could have understood the wackiness of it because of Superboy Connor Kent, who is kind of like a young, reckless Superman with the arrogance sometimes of Lex Luthor. That's would have been perfect. But that's just my personal opinion on the situation. Guys, tell me what you think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.